if any of y'all watching this, if you've ever had a project where, you started it off on your own and you didn't really have a big vision or a big idea for it. And other people come in and they love what you're doing and they have all these ideas. So they're like it almost feels like, yo, they need to be a part of what I'm doing. But you don't realize that because you don't have the solid foundation, other people's ideas can kind of start to take over. And so I started to realize like that the more that I started to work with other people and collaborate with other people, the less control I felt like I had on Room 1002. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Songbird, and I want to welcome you guys to season 4 of Room 1002. I am so excited to be back in the mix. I know we technically really didn't have a season 3, but I'm really excited to just look ahead. 2025 is going to be a wonderful year, you guys. And I'm so excited for this 3-part series that I'm about to do. I really want to just talk to y'all. I want to be vulnerable for a second, right? I know that a lot of times the show is me talking to someone else and getting their story, but I feel like we need to touch base, right? Because it's been a while since I've talked to y'all, and I think it's important to just keep y'all in the loop. So, but before we get into all of that, y'all already know what I'm going to say. Make sure you like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're not already subscribed. And please do not hesitate to leave me any feedback or ask any questions in the comments. All right? So, first of all, Happy New Year. Did I even say that? Happy New Year, y'all. I know that it's like past January 1st, but it's still a Happy New Year, right? I really wanted to do a New Year's episode, if I'm being honest with y'all. I was very devastated that I did not get to do a New Year's Eve episode. And the reason why, I actually was going through some personal stuff. And on top of that, I was not feeling well. I actually had some kind of weird sinus infection thing going on. Y'all know how they say when the seasons change, everybody gets sick. And I feel like everybody is sick right now. So I feel less bad about being in the mix of the sick people. But anyway, I had this very big vision for like this episode where we were going to have like live music and interviews and fun going from room to room. And I kid y'all not, it was going to be like Saturday Night Live, Jimmy Fallon, mixed with a little Songbird, Room 1002. It was going to be great. Me and JD had such a big vision for it, but it just didn't come together. And if I'm being honest with y'all, that is how all of 2024 felt for me. Like, it's just not coming together the way I wanted it to come together. So let's go back a little bit, right? Let's go to the top of 2024. We kicked things off so strong. That Room 1002 anniversary party was lit. If you missed it, I'll just keep moving. But y'all know what I was going to say. If you missed it, you missed it. But it was a really good way to start the year. I felt like I started the year on a high. You know what I mean? Like it genuinely felt like I'm doing something new. I've never done this before. And event planning, it's funny. I actually plan corporate events for my 9 to 5, but doing it for my creative side, like it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. But, it was really cool to kick off the year in that way. There was so much love and support in the room. And I really enjoyed that. Like I felt good about it. I thought like we are on a really good track, y'all. Like we are really about to set this thing off. And I was so hyped for season 3. I had some really good people lined up. I'm sure you guys remember I interviewed Martin Moffstone. I had Caitlin on the show. I thought that I came out swinging in 2024. But if I'm being honest, there was this reoccurring small voice in my ear that has been there for a while. I want to say, honestly, since maybe like the second half of season 1, I just wasn't feeling confident about Room 1002. Like I started things off shooting on my phone, just out in the streets, meeting people, talking to people, going to their houses, going to the studio, wherever I could meet them. And, I started to bring people in And I think I did that a little too early. And I don't know if any of y'all watching this, if you've ever had a project where, you started it off on your own and you didn't really have a big vision or a big idea for it. And other people come in and they love what you're doing and they have all these ideas. So they're like it almost feels like, yo, they need to be a part of what I'm doing. But you don't realize that because you don't have the solid foundation, other people's ideas can kind of start to take over. And so I started to realize like that the more that I started to work with other people and collaborate with other people, the less control I felt like I had on Room 1002. Like I started making moves without really thinking them through. I started doing things that I kind of was not ready for. My pockets we're not ready for. Okay, I'm not sure if any of y'all had an opportunity to go back and listen to my testimony that I shared about Room 1002 when I was on the Moves You Heard podcast with my girl Jaslyn. Shout out to Jaslyn. I'm sorry, Stormy. But I was broke as a joke when I started Room 1002. Y'all, I didn't have no money. I didn't even have a job at the time. And so when I started jumping the gun and doing things, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, after you've done a certain amount of work, your podcast should be getting bigger. You know what I mean? The production should be bigger. It should look bigger and all of that. But in actuality, it is okay to, it's funny. I used to always talk about this scripture when I first started the show, but do not despise humble beginnings. It is okay for you to be in a small space for however long you need to be until you're ready to actually expand and grow. And I did not do my due diligence in making sure that I was ready. So I started to feel like I had less and less grip and control on Room 1002. And so last year, this is after I switched working with this person, that person. I switched my format up. I changed up how I wanted to do the show. And, I started putting out contracts and just doing all these different things. And I was just too ahead of myself, honestly. And I started to get exhausted with the podcast. I got really exhausted. I burned out really quickly. And so I was smiling for y'all on camera. I was doing these interviews. I was showing up to these red carpets, doing things that I never thought capable for Room 1002. But I was silently really struggling with feeling adequate enough to do those things. So anyway, it's season 3. We're rolling forward. Everything is going great. And then I started to realize, like, I started to have some spiritual convictions. I've been re-walking this thing out with the Lord for like the last 3, maybe going on 4 years now. And when I started Room 1002, I was in a completely different place. I mean, secular was like what I wanted to do. It was where I wanted to be. It was like my thing. I didn't have a problem showing a whole lot of skin. I didn't have a problem saying certain words or supporting certain music. And it just, as I started to get older, as I really started to grow, for real, if that's just the word we want to use, a lot of that stuff became less and less interesting to me. And it became hard. It started to feel hard because here I am coming from a space where a lot of the artists that I have interviewed make secular music. And it's not that it's not even music that I think is fun or good. It's not that the music don't bump, that the beats aren't fire. It's not that. It's just spiritually for me, I was in a different place and I really didn't know how to walk that out, but also still do Room 1002. I'm like, well, I don't want to change my brand completely. I don't want to alienate people or make them feel like I think I'm better than them or I'm above them because of I'm no longer comfortable talking about certain things or whatever. But I was having a really tough time just figuring out like what is my footing? Where am I in all of this? And as I'm growing in the things of God, as I'm growing in my relationship with God, I'm kind of like, God, I need you to give me a sign or 2 or 3 or 4 because I don't know what to do. And the more that I felt like I didn't know what to do, the less that I felt like I could do it. So eventually I got to a place where I actually did an interview last year. And I hope that this young lady does not mind me sharing this. I won't use any names or anything, but I did an interview last year. And it was actually a good interview. It actually was a good interview. But some of the things that we talked about, I felt so much conviction about putting it out. And I had never felt that way before. Obviously, like I said, I was kind of walking this thing out. I was kind of like straddling the fence, skating on thin ice, whatever, little phrase you want to use there. But I had never just felt this strong, like, I don't know if I can put this out. And instead of just being authentic, sharing that with her, giving her the space and opportunity to express how she felt about that, because I'm a firm believer in not censoring people. I don't think that that's right. I think that people should be able to share who they really are. If your platform is not for them, then your platform is not for them. But I don't believe in censoring people. So in my heart, I'm like, how do I go back and tell this girl, like, I'm not sure that I'm comfortable putting this out. She had put her heart and soul into coming and doing the interview, and I just felt so bad. And it's put me in this place where I was like, you know what? I am too unsure about what I'm doing right now to keep doing it. I really need to take a big step back. And so I battled with that for a little bit, right? Like, do I tell them? Do I make an episode and explain myself? Do I just go ghost? Do I keep pushing even though I kind of really don't want to? Where do I go? And y'all, I just decided to take my hands off of it and stop doing the show. And that was a very tough decision. A lot of people were very invested in what I was doing. And shout out to JD Irby and Irby Studios. Very, very, very invested in the success of Room 1002. And I kind of just like dropped the ball. And if I'm being honest, I had no idea that it was going to take this long to pick it back up. So, I mean, it's a weird feeling now to sit back in front of the camera and say some of that stuff out loud, because a lot of times those are things that we feel like we should keep to ourselves. Like, these are things that I should not share, because this might be me. This might be me cutting ties just by even sharing this stuff. Now people are like, never mind, I don't want to go on her show. She too uppity. She too Christian. She too. So I was very scared to say a lot of these things. But if I'm being real with y'all, it needs to be said. And I feel like if you can't be authentic in yourself, the last thing you need to be doing is bringing other people in the mix. So I just thought that it was really important to kind of just actually talk to y'all about, why did I take a break? What happened, and where the heck did you go, and what were you doing when you weren't putting out episodes? And when I tell y'all, it was so hard because so many people were hitting me up like, you should come to this event, yo. Like, I got this show coming up, la 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 la. And every time I wanted to go out, I just didn't have. Y'all, I had zero interest. And that is a scary place to be in. Room 1002 is my baby, okay? I don't have any children. I am an aunt of the most beautiful little babies on the world. But I look at Room 1002 like my baby. So to say I'm just not going to nurture my baby for a little bit, that was tough. And I'm praying that there are people watching this who can genuinely relate. Like, I really hope that, y'all hear what I'm saying and you're like, man, I was in that place too. I've been stuck before or whatever. And, I really didn't know how to share that. My partner at the time was very supportive of me taking that break as well. But I still just felt like, y'all, there were so many times that I was like, let's just pick up the mic and do it. And I just did not feel right. And so, I want to talk a little bit more about that, just what that break was like for me, what it felt like, some of the things that I went through while I was in that break, very personal, kind of heavy things, but I do want to share them. I said I was going to be transparent, so let's be transparent. Let's go there. But you're going to have to watch part 2 for that. So thank y'all so much, really, just for even tuning in. Your loyalty means a lot. Like I said, I know I have been gone for almost a year, and that is not a small thing. So for you guys to even just be watching right now and still supporting Room 1002, it means a whole bunch. Don't forget to like and share this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for part 2, because it's going to get good, y'all. Until next time, peace. This is pretty crazy to think about. Room 1002. YouTube. You can find me out in the streets, looking for new talent all over Atlanta. I'm really grateful for y'all support, man. Y'all just don't know.